Testing, testing. 1, 2, 3, testing.
Welcome to this, the 10th ordinary meeting of the 169th session of the Queen's University of Belfast Literary and Scientific Society. Thank you all so very much for braving this cold, dark and wintry night in the middle of the deadline hell season, as I've taken to calling it. This new academic year truly is quite something, isn't it? So, we are here this evening, not quite in the Senate room, but in our second home, as it has turned out to be, Lanyon OG 049. The motion this evening is this House believes Trump will destroy the planet. We have 2 main speakers this evening and quite a selection of experienced speakers, so this should be quite interesting indeed. But before we get on to the debate for this evening, it's announcements to begin with. So, the first announcement is, well, the first few are some that you're quite familiar with already. So first of all, as I've said a number of times already, our Christmas dinner is fast approaching. Monday the 11th of December. There's a reception at the Senate room at a time, I think it's like 5. And then the actual dinner commences at around about 6, 7. Mr. Social Officer, around about then. It's all, most of you have signed up for it already, and the details are online. And we will have sex, yes. And there'll be an event page and whatnot. So, if you haven't yet done the little registration of interest and your dietary preferences form, there's still time to do that. Technically, we're being very nice. So just please do that. The URL is christmas2017.literific.com. We just need your name and what kind of food you want. Vegetarian, vegan, other dietary preferences. So yes. Please do that if you haven't already. We need, even if you want to come and have paid us, you still need to do that because we need definite numbers. Speaking of payment, it's £25 for members, 30 for non-members. Yes, so please get your money to me tonight if at all possible, or our secretary, Mr. John McDonald, or Mr. Peter Dunn.
He's treasurer.
I was doing it in the order.
You're looking dashing enough, so I feel that.
He is. He really is.
My
eye. I was going to say you first, but my eye was drawn to him. That's what it was. You just a bit fun.
What's going on here?
Alright. So yes. Also, if you would prefer to pay not via cash, but by digital means such as PayPal, that too is actually probably preferable because a digital paper trail is left. So, Mr.
Do you accept Bitcoin?
Not yet. Looking into Mr. Technology Officer looking into it, I assure you. But yes, otherwise, we have the internal meeting fast approaching. Mr. Bryson, where art thou?
He's gone.
Step out for a moment. He's gone. Any council members? Can anyone remind me?
Right, I believe it's December the 5th. We're going to get an event page up. I've made a lovely cover photo with a picture of Mr. Bryson's lovely face on it. So that should be up soon if these essays don't destroy me.
Yes, indeed. If they don't destroy us all. That's a Tuesday. It's definitely either next Tuesday or next Wednesday, but we'll go with Tuesday for now, and it's in the evening. I believe it starts at 5. And we will try to get through it as quickly as we can, but it does tend to go on for a while. The spreadsheet is still up. Don't really know what the best way for me to repost the link is, but I'll look into that. But yes, you can still suggest motions. Just a quick thing that I want to mention. With the destruction of the current student union building looming, and the creation of a new students' centre on the horizon, I think we would be remarkably remiss in our duties to not have a debate next semester on something pertaining to at least Queens in general. So yes, do try and suggest some of those motions, because I really should have created a tab for that. But the thought escaped me when I was creating that particular spreadsheet. Indeed. Other announcements as I quickly scroll through my list. Christmas dinner. Oh, yes. So a quick note, which I should have done last week. Last week was our Godkin debate. Our winner was Mr. Hickman. Yeah! Godkin Speaker 2017. But also, I don't think we thanked him enough, our judges for last week. So our honourable judges last week were, I believe the only one who's currently here is Mr. Bradley. Also was Mr. Conor Cogan and also Mr. Matthew Bryson. So could we all just please give them a big round of applause and thank you. A job done well and a job done like very long.
Well, you take your time.
Yes, yes.
Comprehensive.
We noticed that. Otherwise, oh yes, just a thing that I'd like to point out. Obviously, I've said a number of times that we record the debates, yay! But it's worth pointing out that if you can't ever make it to one of the weeks and you're so inclined to keep up with the goings on of the society, don't forget that you can download them. They're both on iTunes for those Apple users out there. You can download it from the podcast app that they have. And also, we release the MP3 link just via the official page and on the Literific forum every Sunday. So just keep an eye for that. They're quite good. Otherwise, one final thing is to congratulate a very important bit of congratulations. Just a few days ago, two of our members, Evan Doherty and Patrick McKenna, ventured down to Cork to participate in their InterVarsity competition.
It was bloody long as well, bloody long drive down there.
Yes, it was. In typical Cork fashion, as I believe, it was a bit of an interestingly organised debate, was it not? Or competition?
They were completely useless after.
Yes, for a bit of context.
It'd been worth it.
Indeed, for a bit of context, there were 2 days. The first day was meant to have the first 3 rounds, and the second day was meant to have the next 3, roughly, like the next 2 and then a semi-final and a final. How many rounds were there on the first day?
2.
2 rounds. How often does that happen, Mr. Galvin?
Well,
it doesn't. It only happens at the Cork ID.
definitely not happening as the Queen's eye.
Yeah! Way to stay on top of it, Mr. Galvin. Also, trying to find a member of council. John, could you fire Aisha a message? She's lost a next call trying to call me, apparently. So, yes. John, Finn, get out of her seat, Pete's sake. That's why I was so confused.
I shall see if she's at the room.
Finn is in fact not speaking today.
You don't know that I'm not anymore.
Not speaking.
Oh, there she is. There she is. Right, Finn, evict yourself.
Everybody.
You see, I should cut you out your way. Sorry, please.
So, without any further ado,
The bus, like, they canceled the bus.
I mean,
And I had to get another bus.
I think we can all agree that TransLink is just the worst. But anyway,
How'd you get here before me? What? No, this is.
that's not us. The CB proceedings have begun.
Where are we exactly?
We're just coming up on the reading of the minutes. Before that, I would like to point out that tonight is a remarkable achievement as we have achieved the mythical, the legendary gender balance on our speakers this evening. So, it only took us until 2017.
Oh my god.
but
Wait,
yes.
is this really the first time ever?
No, it's not. That was a joke, Miss Bellavette. So
I
yes.
identify as a woman, so it's actually.
Please no, it's right, please no.
This is illegal.
See what you've done for mine.
This is your fault. I appear to be listed on the card as Miss Russell-Nair. And I wouldn't mind had you not also misspelled my name.
Actually, my name is not Ferranti. That's not my name. That's not my name.
Anyway,
Do we give
last week's debate was this House regrets the rise of positive discrimination. It was our annual Godkin debate, and to read the minutes from that, our 9th ordinary meeting, I do here invite our hopefully much more factually accurate secretary, Mr. Peter Dunn.
Good evening, everybody. The 9th ordinary meeting of the Literary and Scientific Society, which is our annual Godkin Maiden Speakers competition, took place on the 23rd of November and was attended by 52 members. Private members' business was started by Miss Aisha Bellavets. Unfortunately, she's had some harrowing news to share with the House. A classmate of Miss Bellavets had unfortunately died. She expressed to the House how upsetting the news would be and how she would wish, in response, to raise awareness of the issues of homelessness and addiction. The House then voted to express its condolences for Miss Bellavets' classmate. The next piece of business was from Mr. Scott Moore, who said he was fed up of politics in NI being spectator sport. and thus called for the Nolan show to be completely banned. Miss Eupha Dixon expressed her disagreement with the proposal, arguing that talking shop politics is an essential provision for any democracy. Our external convener, Mr. Hugh Dobbin, disagreed. He argued that Stephen Nolan was pretty useless in fostering any kind of meaningful debate. Mr. Conor Hogan then suggested Mr. Nolan should shift away from politics to entertainment, presuming that one would make a separation between the two. A vote was then taken to expunge Stephen Nolan from the airwaves. The motion was rejected. Mr. Matthew Sullivan then asked the House whether anyone actually thought that things were going to get better in Zimbabwe after Robert Mugabe had finally left office. Ms. Bellowes warned of the influence of China in the country. Mr. Liam Mackle also said, despite the future complications which may manifest itself in Zimbabwe, that had the people believe in a life without the dictator was certainly a positive step for the country. It was then on to President's questions, which was started by Mr. Michael McConway, who had some breaking news to share. Explaining that it had just been announced in response to the Paradise Papers that a book entitled A Strong and Stable Guide to Tax Evasion, and Prince Charles, of course, was asked to write the foreword. The President confessed there was a brief moment of panic during this moment of business when the words Paradise and Papers were mentioned. The Secretary then confirmed that an internal investigation into the President's tax account is being taken place. His actual response reasoned that a free publishing industry is essential for any democracy. Ms. Doherty then asked the President the opinion of the 7 cities being removed from the European capital of culture, which included a bid from Belfast, /Derry, /Londonderry, /Japan. The President gave the frankly pretty rubbish response of Brexit. Mr. Dobbin then asked the President on his favourite superhero. He replied, Mr. Fantastic, which was met from a couple of grumbles and a general disapproval from the House. Mr. Matthew Sullivan maintained his reputation of keeping the President on his toes. He asked that if he could be any controversial policy, what would he be? The President, in true nefarious form, said he'd make it illegal for anyone not to be him, and of course the punishment would be death. The President then announced the motion for the evening. This House regrets the rise in positive discrimination and took a vote on prior opinion, which read 16 in favour, 11 against and 9 abstentions. Opening the debate for the proposition was Miss Bethany Ashley, who put forward the case that the policy of positive discrimination undermined the ability of the applicant. She also reasoned that the broad nature of the groups which the policy could stretch to could also be problematic. Opening the argument for the opposition was maiden speaker Mr. Jimmy Cheng. In rebuttal to Miss Ashley, he argued by rejecting discrimination, you're rejecting kindness and help. He then assured the House that the policy encouraged people to throw away prejudice and promote respect and equality. Continuing the argument for the proposition was Mr. Hugh Perry. He argued that the term positive discrimination was in fact an oxymoron, as discrimination of any type, he maintained, could in no way be positive. He thus explained from many groups which are traditionally disadvantaged have achieved powerful positions without the need of a policy of positive discrimination. Second up for the opposition was Mr. Jack Patton. He started his argument by explaining the importance of a diverse workplace, which, he argued, in many workplaces, positive discrimination was still needed to achieve this much-needed diversity. He argued that the policy was necessary to achieve an accurate reflection of the demographics of society. Third up for the proposition was Mr. Rupert Doherty. He started his speech by claiming, while the policy opens doors for some, it closes them for others, thus creating the possibility of a less able candidate getting the position. He explained the cultural perception, which he argued was at the core of discrimination, and the policy of positive discrimination sought to combat was instead better combated through media and the channels of government. He concluded his argument with an Obama quote, which stated affirmative action when helped. Third up for the opposition was our resident America, Miss Aisha Bellowes. She began her argument by stating that she had personally benefited from organisations that had been set to combat such discrimination. She argued that as well as being a historical problem, institutions currently are not put enough policies to combat the issue which is ever present today. Citing the University of Cambridge, which only 3 out of its 32 colleges had vowed to take one black applicant who had achieved 3 A's at A-level. Concluding the argument for the proposition was Mr. Morgan Hickman, who stated the debate revolved around 3 main questions. Firstly, does positive discrimination disguise the issue? Secondly, does it harm society? And thirdly, does it render it completely undesirable? Mr. Hickman's response, surprise, surprise, was yes, and thus this provided the basis for his closing speech. He concluded by saying that equality of outcome doesn't solve the issue, and thus he was very happy to propose. Rounding off the argument for the proposition was Mr. Ali Raja, who stated the policy of positive discrimination ensured basic rights of those being oppressed, abused and humiliated by society. He stated there are still huge discrepancies of opportunity for those of marginalised communities, and thus positive discrimination was imperative to achieve equality. One of the several examples used was if you are black, you are twice as likely to be unemployed, and if you are white. He concluded by stating this policy is for those underachievers who have been dictated as such because of their background, and to support this would be quote, one small step for man, a giant leap for mankind. Lots of questions were then heard from Mr. Hugh Dobbin, Mr. Robert Clark, Mr. Killian Thornton, Mr. Russell Now, Mr. Conor Neal, Mr. Finbar Rogers, and Miss Sarah Gallen. A vote on speakerability was then taken, which read 10 votes for the proposition, 10 for the opposition, and 10 abstentions. So it was a tie. Obviously, I've been never ever involved in one of those before, so there we are. It was then announced after an incredibly long deliberation by our esteemed judges that the 2017 winner at the Godkin competition was Mr. Morgan Hickman. May I take the minutes, Fred?
Aye. Now, I believe it's time to get to the private members' business.
Mr. President!
Mr. President!
I think we are missing something incredibly important that has happened last very night!
Oh, are we, Mr. President? Or are we simply doing this to make it an even grander affair? This evening just passed, one of our fine members, a council member in fact, journeyed to the hostile land of the Students' Union to participate in... Mr. Hugh Dobbin. So, ordinarily, we would give him a round of applause, but seeing as how we have already done that, I think we should move straight on to the second thing that we often give those people who the issue soullessly and mercilessly crushes underfoot, which is a rhyming chorus of For He's a Jolly Good Fellow. Right, so, everybody, don't leave me stranded here on my own. A one, two, three, for he's a jolly good fellow, for he's a jolly good fellow, for he's a jolly good fellow, and nobody can deny, and nobody can deny. Mr. President, if you'd like to return the lights to us. Thank you very much. That was a coordinated action there. Yes, it just about worked. So yes, Mr. Dobbin, in what can only be described as a moment of utter insanity, actually dabbed mid-dance.
Oh, it was so
utter insanity or utter brilliance, one of the two. So yes, a job very well done to you, Mr. Term Commander, and I'm sure that I speak for everyone in this room and indeed not in this room when I say we are immensely proud of you for your actions. So,
I didn't come last though.
well, I mean, it was because it was rigged. He literally performed what the judges described as the hardest dance, and yet they did not seem to take that into consideration when giving him any points.
Shame.
So, indeed, shame resigned to the home. But yes, in any event, we shall now move on to the next item of private members' business, which I believe I have 2 that were sent in. So, in the order of being sent in, first one was from Mr. Edmund Doherty, I hopefully can quickly follow this up. Basically, he had a bit of a brainwave whilst on the way down and the way back up.
Well, thanks to Mr. McKenna missing the 6:30 bus down to Dublin, I basically was sat on the bus on my own, very lonely. Oh, what am I going to do? So I realised I have the BBC Radio iPlayer app, and so I thought, what have I not listened to in a while? Desert Island Discs. And so I listened to some on the way there, and on the way to Cork as well, because we didn't meet up until we got to Cork. And then on the way back, when we were both too tired to actually speak to each other, apparently we'd spoken to each other for about 24 hours, so understandably we just thought, sit down and have a rest. I didn't swear there.
It's good.
And so I listened to some more episodes, and I thought, this is the best radio programme ever invented. So I sent in...
Yes, so your piece is, as I read, my piece occurred to me on the way back to Belfast following the Cork IB, in which I listened to several episodes of the Radio 4 programme Desert Island Discs. Therefore, I would like to propose to the House that this House believes that Desert Island Discs is the best radio programme ever invented. So, does anybody have any thoughts on that particular motion? Notice the hands fly. Mr. Murphy, President Emeritus.
I would have to contend that accolade belongs to the 1970s radio dramatisation of the brilliant books of Jonathan Saddam's The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Point of order.
Typically, Mr. Smiley, just like, point of order, right? Okay.
Point of order. The books were a adaptation of the radio series. The radio series came first. It was radio series, books, TV show, movie.
Fair enough. That's a solid point of order right there. I'm desperately trying to find something that I can. Mr. O'Neill.
Can I get my time back for listening to this rabble?
How would you feel if people said that to your speech, Mr. O'Neill? That's not very polite.
They frequently
Mr. Patton, I saw your hand go
diary session.
Negating the point about the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, can we talk about a current radio show that may be about? As everyone in Northern Irish politics knows, the Daily Talkback, the beautiful garbage fire that it is definitely the best radio show we've ever been on the airwaves.
Interesting point, good sir. Would anybody else like to misspell that?
Yeah, I mean, these are American, these are my personal favorite radio shows. My favorite one is, it's called, it's on NPR, which stands for National...
Can I? Sorry, you're not allowed to say This American Life, are you?
What?
Are you about to say This American Life?
No.
Okay, because if you were, that would be such a cliche. A wonderful cliche.
It's on NPR, which is National Public Radio. It's called The Moth. They tell stories. People go and they tell stories. It's from usually 8 to 10, and they tell some of the most beautiful, wonderful stories. I've heard stories from all over the world, from Iran, from Eastern Europe. They're really, really cool. They're also online. And another one of my faves, it's now retired, but it's called Car Talk. And it's basically like, it was like ran for like 30 years, and just kind of like, people would call like these like two oldies from like Massachusetts, and they'd like ask them what to do with their car. And they're just like really warm guys. Like they just like their laugh is just so iconic. Like, yeah, but those are definitely my favorite radio shows.
Thank you, Ms. Ballas. Did I see your hand go up earlier, Mr. McConway? Or are you?
No, it was a passing thought.
I
was going to say just a minute about Nicholas Parsons.
A favourite of this house. A good shout indeed. Mr. Nang?
I mean, while we're listing our favourite things, my favourite colour is red.
Okay, Mr. Nang, thank you very much for that salient point. Mr. McGinnis?
I'd like to point out that in an era where we are producing panel shows with a frequency previously untoward known to man, we need now more than ever the antidote to panel shows. I'm sorry, I haven't a clue. Perhaps the single greatest comedy show ever created. 3 of the single greatest comedians who have ever lived, showing off an art they have mastered over a long, long career. There's nothing like it, there never will be.
I have not yet listened to it, but your words have been moved. Yes.
Mr. President.
Miss Campbell?
I have a question for the house.
Right.
Do YouTube shows count as radio shows?
No. Mr. Murr?
Well, I would argue against the point that Mr. Doherty is putting forth on the basis that I could name 2 radio shows which are better. One is Charlie Sloth's show on Radio 1 Extra. The Fire in the Booth is unbeatable, right? If you ever see any freestyles in that. The other that I can think of is Sway in the Morning on Sheet 45. Personal favourite of mine is, I don't know if anybody here is aware of Big Punisher, one of the best rappers of all time, who died in 2000. His son was on it maybe a year or 2 ago, and he was just fantastic. I would advise anybody to.
Is his son called Little Punk?
He was called Baby Pump, but now he's going by Chris Rivers.
That's an opportunity missed.
Yes, it is.
He doesn't just want to write off his dad's legacy.
Mr. Sullivan.
He had his hand up for Ed, you couldn't see him.
Fair enough. I was going to go ahead next.
Go me last. Go me last. Mine will blow everyone's out of the water. It's fine.
Oh, well. In that case, I will take... I'll take... no, I won't take yours, nor I'll take yours. I'll take Mr. Murphy's and then Mr. Bradley to conclude.
I'd like to revise my earlier opinion about the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. On some reflection, I realised that the Archers blends essential agricultural accuracy with mild middle-class peril, with such thrilling storylines as well. Nadia the au pairs used the wrong knife to cut the cheese with. So I think that's the sort of quality broadcasting that we should expect from the BBC, and I think that is by far the best show that is on Radio 4.
We'll cut this question in ours. And finally, to conclude this piece of private member's business, technology officer, Mr. Bradley.
I think, because we're all here tonight, I think we're forgetting one radio show that is particularly applicable to the Literific. As you all know, that's a microphone. The microphone goes to a radio server. Technically an online radio server. So this, apart from tonight, because Queen's Wi-Fi is being a cretin, so it's not actually streaming, but this is the best radio show on the planet, and I'll tell you why. Where else in the world would you hear debates such as this one, last week's, and and whatever's coming next? We are the only people in control of this show, the only people that can end it, the only people that can get into trouble for it. So I won't say anything incriminating tonight. I accept.
If it can actually be broadcast over FM or AM radio frequencies, is it technically a radio show?
There is such a thing as a... I'm afraid enough time has been spent on this.
I was sorry, established that online radio doesn't count.
Then Queen's Radio doesn't exist.
Order. We must move on. There's an actual debate we had tonight, and it's already 8 o'clock.
Get wrecked.
Indeed. So, the motion that was put to the House was, I thank everyone for their points. The motion that was put to this House was, this House believes Desert Island Discs is the best radio programme.
The greatest radio program ever invented.
Would anybody like to second that motion?
No.
Mr. Towell. Okay, then it goes to a vote. Could all those who'd like to vote in favour of the motion that this House believes Desert Island Discs...
I think the president feels that this thing's been entirely different order.
Fine.
Well, can I retract the motion so they slap program?
Seconded.
The motion was this House believes that Desert Island Discs is the greatest radio programme to have ever existed, or some such. Can all those who'd like to vote in favour of the motion, please raise your hand and say aye.
Aye.
I have 2, Mr. Secretary.
I'm voting purely because I don't know what it is.
I mean, because you seconded it, now it will be officially destroyed by the House.
Yeah.
So, I mean, all those who'd like to vote against the motion, please raise your hand and say nay.
Nay.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8, Mr. Secretary? You do more than that, or might have missed? No. And all those who would like to abstain on the motion, please raise your hand and say nah.
Nah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, I can't get king. 17.
Saves on abstain.
Well, the House abstains on that particular motion. Perhaps it shall be revisited sometime in the future. Otherwise,
No, it won't.
that's kind of the point about abstaining. So another piece of matter of business that was sent in was from Ms. Bellavest. She would like the House to have I'm gonna put a caveat on this that it has to be a short one because we already did this and there is a recording that you can go listen to. This Miss Bella would like to have a short discussion about safe spaces and why they're important. So Miss Bella, you'd like to kick us off.
So I really do. I feel like when you guys talked 2 weeks ago about how we're making fun of safe spaces, you didn't really understand what a safe space is. So it's not about saying you can only express this opinion. It's really about creating a space where people who don't usually get to express their opinion can express their opinion. So for example, I've been part of a lot of safe spaces at my institution back home, and one of them was where we had a closed dialogue for people who identify as being mixed. So only people who are mixed descent can come, and we had a dialogue about what it's like to be mixed. And it was really, really powerful, and it's not something that has ever happened nor to happen again. And it was really, really important for me. It happened on my birthday, and it's how I made all my friends. And it was the first time that I actually got to talk about what my life has been like being mixed. And the thing is they're really important spaces for intellectual discussion and safety. And what's been hard is personally I have really enjoyed debate, and I really enjoyed getting to know all of you. At the same time, I don't feel like debate is a safe space, which I kind of have mixed feelings about, because especially everything's recorded and stuff, and I don't like the idea of people making fun of those spaces because they are really important. And I'm not saying that debate should be a safe space, but I'm saying that well, I mean I think it should, but I think that can be different depending on how debate works. I'm not saying that it has to be a closed space, but obviously no. But I'm saying that don't make fun of safe spaces.
Thank you, Ms. Baldas. Whoa, okay. I give the floor to Godkin winner Mr. Hickman.
Ladies and gentlemen, we've had a very comprehensive debate on this about 6 months ago.
I wasn't there.
No, I'm not saying you weren't, but it's recorded and available on publicly. But beyond that, however, we went through a lot of very good reasons why this house disapproves of safe spaces. We have the issue of just the lack of consent. We're going to have open safe. We're talking about not having closed safe spaces. Well, if we're not having closed safe spaces, that poses a very fundamental problem for people that have no interest in being part of them. Beyond this, the ideas discussed in safe spaces are important to be discussed in an open sphere. This house has supported the idea that we need to discuss these ideas in public in order to have any impact on society. It is no use to us having a closed-door debate about a very controversial issue. The most important thing is we bring that issue before people that disagree with it. Otherwise, there is no way we can make progress. No chance of having people that disagree be convinced the other way round. You create a safe space where you're only allowed to agree with something. You're only allowed to support something. You're not allowed to say something that offends sensibilities, however serious or not serious they may be. You stifle debate. You stifle social progress. This is the reason we cannot and should not support safe spaces.
Can I just briefly ask, could one of you sitting over there without killing yourselves open that window, please? Because these chairs are terribly unstable.
I wouldn't like to try that in a minute.
Yes, indeed, it would be quite different. Mr. Dobbin, external convening.
If I were to briefly get my hand on this, then again, Morgan said many good points there, and the main way that you can see the substantive arguments about this is they were greatly discussed in the debate we had, which I'd recommend everyone here take a look at. But what I would say is specifically in the context of having debates here, and what I would say is that what we say here should be a completely open space for any kind of free thought, subject to the rules and discretion that we have for running the debates to make sure that they're done in an orderly fashion where we respect the speakers themselves. But I, for one, would feel greatly distressed if I felt there was a single person in this room who had a thought or who had an opinion that they did not feel they were at liberty to express in the House. We ourselves have had many debates on controversial issues, be that transgenderism, same-sex marriage, and the fact that we are able to get people in here who can express opinions that very often go against what the consensus or what the status quo is reassuring in order to get in a public space a majority of opinions and debates that we can reach a consensus and hear the best possible way of sharing a multitude of ideas. And for that reason, I would say, although Morgan has given many of the reasonable points for a wholesale question on safe spaces, specifically for the context of debates. Given that they're core wondering about, we absolutely could not entertain that idea applying here.
Thank you, Mr. Nolan. For the sake of time, I will not let this go on any longer than 5 more minutes. Just get your points in fast if you want. Mr. Rogers.
There's an inherent irony to arguing against safe spaces in a university, because universities are, by their very nature, safe spaces, not least because they started out as monasteries. But also there's the fact that in your second year politics lecture or tutorial, whatever it is, you are quite free to go in and make an argument defending the divine right of kings or eugenics or whatever you plucked out of Hobbes. So long as you can sustain your argument to attacks. Try and do that in the Foresters Bar in Erie and monitor the different result. There's also the point, Mr. Morgan made a good point about things should be discussed on another platform, but whenever consent or whatever is up for discussion, the people who take part in those discussions are always the kind of people who would take part in those discussions. It's always basically a talking shop of people agreeing with each other. I believe in equality. Oh really? So do I. And then just go back and forth like that, aren't we grand? It's never actually includes the kind of people who think that's awesome,
Thank you, Mr. Rogers. Mr. Nang?
To put it quite bluntly, as I see it, any location in which a dissenting opinion cannot be put out very forwardly, and any location in which people are not free to express controversial or hell, even wrong opinions, is not a space of debate. It is quite simply a circle jerk.
That's well said. Mr. O'Neill?
Very quickly, it's really just a quote from George Orwell, and that those who lose the ability to speak freely soon lose the ability to think freely.
Thank you very much, Mr. O'Neill. Yes, sir, Mr.
I understand the desire to use safe spaces. Understand the desire to use safe spaces to sort of avoid, topics we might consider as repugnant. But by putting those things away from us, putting them outside of our perception, it allows us to grow ignorant of them. So if we don't have the ability to see these things and challenge them, then they grow and they ferment and they become more and more vitriolic. And I think it's actually harmful to put them away from us. I think they should be in a place where they can be confronted.
Thank you, Mr. Pierce. And simply because I'm a cruel, fiendish president, and I want to see a dozen hands shoot up and have to cross them, I will let Ms. Bellavest have the final point.
Oh, the thing is, it's not about avoiding topics that are difficult. It's actually about creating a space where people who don't usually talk get to talk about things that are difficult to them, but can't usually do it in another space. So it's about providing an alternative space to doing that. And the thing is and the reason why we have them is because for example, my talk, the one I went to about being mixed, as far as I know, there isn't anybody else who I've met in debate who identifies as being mixed race. So sometimes you want to talk to people who are like you, so you can actually learn something you've never learned before because you never had that space before. And it's not about saying something that's not controversial or wrong or conservative or liberal. It's just about creating a space where you get to talk about something that you usually don't get to talk about, either because there's not a space provided for it or because you're afraid to. And the thing is there are some things. Okay, I just want to say, I do agree that we should let people. I firmly believe in free speech, but at the same time, there are just some things that should be agreed upon. Don't be sexist, don't be racist, don't be homophobic, don't be transphobic, don't be ableist. These are very important, rules. And I do think that if you break them, I'm not saying you should be ostracized, but you should be addressed, and you should be allowed to have that addressed without feeling like you're a bad person. But you should have that addressed. Because it's a problem.
In your opinion.
How do you address
Folks, no, Mr. McGuinness. You've done this a couple of times now. Please do not respond unless called upon. Right, we're moving on, I'm afraid. I told you I was going to do this. So, we're now moving on to President's Questions. Does anybody have any President's Questions that do not pertain to anything from the last bit of private members' business? I trust Mr. Doherty. I'm going to call on him.
Can I give you one quick... Okay, first question, this is a quick one. Would you give your best wishes to Mr. Russellman and some other bloke, I've forgotten his name, as they go down to Dublin for the second round of the Irish Times tomorrow?
Yes, certainly. I see what you did there.
I don't know who the other bloke is, I've completely forgotten.
Yes, of course you have.
My actual question is, given how you teased me in the message you sent me about my piece of private members' business,
I would ask you to refrain from sharing anything in our private messages and stuff. It's very sensitive material. I mean, I thought we had something special, but you're about to prove me wrong.
Because this won't cause a ripple in the society, what do you think is the best radio programme ever invented?
I'm trying to decide upon, with Mr. President Howard, would the spirit of the currently alive Mary Louise Sinnott frown upon me for answering this question? Because she was very much, she was the staunchest of the no opinion presidents, in my opinion.
She wasn't really.
Was she not?
She wasn't really.
Was she not? Okay. Well, in that case, I'm rather partial to the news quiz. Miles Jupp I am quite fond of. He's quite good. Sandy Toxic was good as well. I think Sandy Toxic was probably better, but I think Miles Jupp just appeals more to my sense of humour. Yes, Mr. Shalaver. That got your attention, didn't it?
I was gonna do that normal thing I do where, which motion-specific X would you be? But I've actually got a serious president's question.
A first for this session, I believe.
So, no, I did one a while ago. So, throughout this week, I've been in a couple of big meetings for various group projects. And I was talking to about 10 different people who don't go to society, and I asked each and every one of them, except one guy because he doesn't come to any of our meetings, if they were aware of what specific week this was that the union had set aside. And not one of them could answer me. And I'd like to ask if the President shares my sentiment that it's quite shameful that the Students' Union has managed to hold a mental health awareness week that nobody was aware of.
I mean, it certainly seems rather counterintuitive, if nothing else. The simple fact, if nothing else, the simple fact that they've held what was supposed to be 2 big campaign weeks back to back just seems foolish. Last week, and people of the House may also not know, last week was meant to be, was it Trans Awareness Week? Trans Awareness Week. Beyond the Binaries, that was the name of the campaign, Beyond the Binaries. Yes. Fine. Do you know what next week is? Is next week another campaign?
Yeah, it's about disability awareness.
Disability Awareness Week? I mean, it's clearly the sentiment is nice. What they're trying to do is not wrong, but the manner in which they are going about it is, as it always is whenever it's the union that's involved, just utterly nonsensical and shit. I mean, I'd say borderline incompetent, but that implies like the good side of the borderline.
so borderline competent?
No, borderline. Anyway, yes, no, again. I think the facts speak for themselves. No one knows that it's going on. They have a large amount of time and money at their disposal to make people aware if they fail to do so. So yes, I think it's simple, if nothing else. But they claim to think this is so important, yet do not appear to actually be putting resources into it. Just on a slight bit, earlier, whenever we congratulated Mr. Galvin, I had also meant to congratulate his dancing partner for the evening, Miss Sophie Trinder, that was the name, yes? So yes, she performed admirably as well, and also a friend of the...
More so than I did, to be fair.
You're too modest, good sir. Also, unfortunately, this picture I have of the order paper from last night is far too blurry, but also a friend of the society, Mr. Mark Cunningham, president of PAMSOC, who we had a joint debate with just a few weeks ago, participated. He came second, I believe. So yes, I would personally congratulate him, as well as Mr. Will Hancock Evans, president of the LGBT Society, another friend of the society. He participated, and I don't know how well he did. I think he told me he was just above you here. So yes, so together and all that. So yes, congratulations to them. Anyway, president's questions. Keep it brief. Mr. Murray, you're clearly less enthusiastic, so take the floor.
Right, so I'm a bit annoyed with you because I explicitly bagged a piece of private member's business just before this meeting, and you didn't give me it, so I'm going to try and make a fool out of you now.
It's not hard.
Now, during the recent Westminster election, well, kind of recent, Theresa May was asked, what is the naughtiest thing you've ever done? So I would like to ask you that. What is the naughtiest thing you've ever done, Mr. President?
I mean, Mr. Mayor, who do you think Miss May ran through that field of wheat with? Let me just tell you, Miss May, or is that like another Teresa? Is a modest woman. She spared the public the really, I can't even think of a verb, adjective seductive enough to describe what went on in that field of wheat. Let me just say, if I were to tell you, it would make blood stream from your ears. I think clearly the answer to the serious answer to that question is the answer that I just gave. So there we go. Any other? I shall go with Mr. Conway.
Given that recent press conferences have bombarded our political leaders with questions about Prince Harry's engagement, I feel there can only be one question for our president tonight. Will Meghan Markle make a Series 8 of Suits before she ties the knot? And will Prince Harry be starring in it?
I mean, I must admit, I am a fan of the USA television series Suits. Hashtag no spawn or whatever it is. Admittedly, my answer to that question is yes, I hope so. To both parts, Prince Harry making some random cameo would be most interesting. But yes, I mean, clearly from the muted reaction, not enough members of this house have seen the wonderful series that is Suits.
I've seen it.
Have you? Yes, very good.
Last few series have been pretty crap.
I'm not up to date, unfortunately. But yes, it's let me say, it's filled with incredibly and unfairly good-looking people being very smart. Yeah. So, I mean, it's good in that regard.
Like in society?
But in our society, yes. Yeah.
I butchered a joke there. It was going to be a really good joke and everyone was going to laugh,
but nevertheless, here we find ourselves on the other side of the Rubicon. Any final bits of questions? Wow, okay. Seeing as how I've heard from you three and you four, in fact, I'll take Miss McSorley and then Mr. McDonald the close out.
I wasn't like thinking of doing no, given sorry.
Mr. Dobbins, how's the rubbing off on you?
No, given recent coverage of Channel 4, I was wondering if you would be able to draw us a border.
The problem is, I could draw the border, but I can't draw the island of Ireland. That's just not. Shame. It looks like I just can't draw it.
I have many Irish friends.
Apologies, Mr. Apologies, but I think Mr. Someone had that coming. Yes. I hit my face. yes! Let me just say, Mr. Murphy, I don't believe you ever suffered any battle scars during your time in front of them. So that's. Or did you? You did just stay very much of it?
No comment.
Okay. Yes, so there we go. And finally, because like Mr. McDonald, treasurer.
So, following on from the fellow's points about Meghan Markle's wedding, since obviously you're going to be invited,
yes.
It's going to be your +1.
Theresa May.
Alas, it has been many years since Theresa and I spoke last.
Where was Colin?
Which one?
He was watching from afar. I could be implying literally anything. Let me just say, get your minds out of the collective gutter. I'm my +1.
That's where the Literific lives, I think you'll find.
Yes, that's very true. I mean, my +1 is obvious to the more learned members. Some might think it is our secretary, Mr. Dunn. Sadly, it is not. You would be, but sadly, there's just one slightly further above you in the list. Some might think it's President Emeritus Murphy or President Emeritus Bradley, but again, it's not. There's only one for me, and that is our eternal leader, Paul Shannon. Clearly, he's the only person. That said, he is, knowing Mr. Shannon, he's more likely than me to get his invitation first. So he's very well connected. So yes, I think that about does it for.
He's also more likely to run through the fields of wheat.
That's yes. He's done unspeakable things, that man. In this very gown, no less. So yes, I believe. I could be implying literally anything.
Yeah, that's the problem.
We shall now move on swiftly to the vote on prior opinion. So, to remind the House, the motion this evening is that this House believes Trump will destroy the planet. I'd like to say that I swear I know there is normally some disagreement between the two sides on what the exact definition of the motion is. If either of you disagree on what Trump is referencing, the fields of wheat will sound lovely in comparison. So yes, all those who, as of right now, believe that Trump will indeed destroy the planet, please raise your hand and say aye. Aye. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, Mr. Secretary.
Yep.
All those who believe, pardon me, that Mr. Trump will not destroy the planet, please raise your hand and say nay. Nay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, Mr. Secretary. 14. And all those who would like to abstain on the motion, please raise your hand and say meh. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, Mr. Secretary. So I believe the opposition had that?
Yep.
Very good. You have a very brief point.
Brief point for just, Miss Wallace seemed confused. Trump can be British slang for fart, just so you're And I also like to point out that we have been really mature about that this whole time, alright? We've barely brought up and you've had it for almost a year.
I do appreciate that, so again.
Point of order.
It's not point of order for
I don't believe they are point of orders.
Yeah, I mean, you are slightly bending what a point of order is, but the thing is, I can't know that before he gives it, so, or she in that case, or in that case. But yes, in any case, I would now like to welcome our first speaker for this evening, for the proposition, one of our beloved speakers who has spoken at many a competition on our behalf. This, it is true, isn't it? And Miss Emma Party with us!
Okay. I have to search my speech. I spent a lot of time on it, so like. Okay, first of all, everybody likes to say hello, ladies and gentlemen, and all of that, but I would like to skip, for being honest. So, first of all, I would like to do a definition of what we believe that destroying the planet is. For destroying the planet, we don't believe that it's destroying the Earth entirely. It's not the execution of the planet. It's more like the butterfly effect, and it's not the Ashton Kutcher film, I wish it was. It's that small causes can have larger effects. So all the small causes that Trump is affecting right now will lead to larger effects in the time on. And For that, I would like to talk about 3 small causes that can have larger effects. First of all, climate change. Second, nuclear weapons. And third of all, foreign affairs. Well, about the climate change, Donald Trump wants to leave the Paris Agreement, which is a climate accord with a worldwide importance. This kind of agreement affects deforestation, the first water, the populations, the wildlife, and all of that. As we know, it can end because the United States of America, it's not a country like Spain can be. Sorry for the comparison. And Spain can be, because the United States of America has a lot of power in the world right now. It's the biggest economy. So if Donald Trump wants to leave the Paris Agreement, the country will leave it in 2020, and that it's something that can change the people's minds in the United States of America about climate change, about if that's real, if that's not real. So we're talking about, one second, I'm telling you, we're talking about the population that, we're talking about the people of the United States of America are very sensitive about this stuff, and they can change their minds in a few decades from now on. That's the first small cause. Wait. Second point, nuclear weapons. Actually, yesterday, North Korea sent an intercontinental ballistic missile crashing into the Sea of Japan. I'm going to leave that information there and I will take your point.
Okay. Okay, just let me go back to what I was saying. Yes. Okay, the world is already locked into 2 degrees of warming in the planet. Climate change is already happening, and it's going to be catastrophic, and we're locked into it.
Exactly.
Exiting the Paris climate agreement isn't going to change anything at this point.
That's where I disagree. That's where I disagree. Actually, it's true. Our world is a mess. Right now, we have a lot of issues, not only about climate change. We have a lot of issues about wars going on, about crisis of refugees going on, and that Trump, it's not Trump, it's what he represents. It's the United States of America, one of the biggest economies in the country. So, if the United States of America leaves the Paris Agreement, that will be a disaster, and that will be a disaster because it's only a small cause. I'm talking that the climate change will end with the world. I'm just talking that the United States of America has a bigger point there. Searching for the world. He has a bigger importance because it's a country that can actually change a lot of people's minds. And if we have Donald Trump as president of the United States of America, obviously it can be a disaster. Second, nuclear weapons. North Korea just released that sent some missile there in the Sea of Japan. So the things that we're talking about when we're talking about nuclear weapons, it's another treaty that actually the United States of America didn't sign up. It's the treaty on the prohibition of nuclear weapons. 69 nations didn't vote for it, and obviously, which are these countries? Oh, wait for it: Russia, North Korea, and America. So, and China, true. So the only thing that we're seeing right here is that all the streets that Trump and actually the United States specifically are not signing up, or they just want to be out of it, are going to be a massive change in the long term. Because, and if we look at the Trump's electorate right here in this point, in the nuclear weapons, we see that the Trump's electorate only has one personal trait in common. Because they were women, men from different ages, but the only trait that they had in common was oh my god, this word, the authoritarianism. Yeah, it's true. It's a research that I found yesterday. So, and what is authoritarianism, if I say that okay? It's the strong certain power and limited political freedom. So if this electorate wants to just start a war, well, Trump is going to be there for them. Of course, go for it. That's my second point, nuclear weapons. And third, foreign affairs. Trump doesn't need a government for Trump. Oh my god, that was so Irish. Trump doesn't need no government. Trump doesn't need a government. In terms of foreign affairs, he doesn't need a government because he's a businessman. He's a businessman who can actually talk with a lot of different political bosses and do an enemy or an ally of them. For example, Russia, 1 second. Oh my god, you look awful. Russia. globalization process that's going on right now. In the globalization project that we have, the United States of America has developed a globalization politics as well. If the only ally that the United States has is Russia, or the enemy that's okay, no. Or China is the only enemy that he has, the foreign affairs is going to be a mess. And he can speak with every leader that he wants, and he can do the political relationships that he wants. So this can be all small factors, but the truth is that they have a large effect on our planet, and that's the thing that I want to explain a little fast because I'm running out of time. So Trump is not the only actor that will affect its future. We have a huge rise of nationalism that will help the cause. And actually here in Europe, they're breaking the European stability if they have one. Anyway, so, I mean, the other part, the opposition will deny everything that I say, but the population and subjects that Trump affects, it's important for the stability of the planet. I've talked about the international affairs. Asia is going to talk about USA from the perspective of a current citizen, and Khan will summarize why this proposition should pass. And if it's not passed, we can still fund for Mars exploration.
Thank you very much, Ms. Burtis. And now, to open the case for the opposition in his maiden speech, no less, can we please welcome Mr. Tom McGuinness.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen of the House. So, I'd like to start off by criticising the wording of this proposition. We are in essence debating whether Trump will destroy the environment, not the planet. The planet is a massive ball of molten iron and tin with a relatively fractional layer of rock on the outside. Short of constructing some sort of cataclysmic lunar-mounted death ray that emits a beam of concentrated antimatter capable of rending the planet in twain, which, to be fair, I wouldn't put past him, Trump isn't going to be destroying the planet anytime soon. Trump destroying the environment is at least a proposition within the confines of reality, but not, as I will demonstrate, of reason. The simple truth of it is that Donald Trump is just one man leading just one country. America's size and diplomatic heft is certainly considerable, and its contribution to the carbon in our atmosphere is not something we should discard, but it's only one part of the world's emissions. Every other country on the planet has signed the Paris Climate Accord. Countries that exist in a state of open civil war have signed the Paris Climate Accord. China, most importantly, whose emissions almost double those of the US, has signed the Paris Climate Accord. Trump's stalwart refusal to accept the inevitable is, fittingly, akin to King Canute commanding the tides to stop. Yes.
Okay. As I talked about in my speech, we're talking about that the relationships between the United States and China are not going well. The thing is, okay, you're talking about the environmental stuff, but I'm talking about all the small causes that actually can be foreign affairs, nuclear weapons, and more than which they will explain there. So, I mean, there's something more going on.
My argument is that the small points really don't matter anywhere near so much as the larger overall efforts. And even if Trump wasn't just standing defiantly on the shores of Mar-a-Lago, dismissing the stockiness of his angles as fake news, even if he does bring about the level of catastrophic environmental destruction that the opposition warns of, as far as the environment is concerned, that isn't such a bad thing. See, the end point of global warming, as indeed nuclear war, is not the eradication of all life on Earth, rather it is the eradication of all human life. And from the environment's point of view, that's a pretty great result. No, I'm not saying that I hate humanity. Humanity has created great works of art and achieved breathtaking scientific wonders, but the environment isn't that. Go ahead.
No, it hasn't.
Your own ignorance aside, I'll move on with my report. Man has created great works of art and achieved breathtaking scientific wonders, but the environment is an abstract personification of all life on Earth and doesn't really care about any of that. As far as the environment is concerned, the only good humanity has done is fixing some of the mess it created. Certainly, when we go, we'll take a whole bunch of the ungrateful swines with us. But life will go on for the uncountable millions of insects and other life forms. Perhaps in a billion or so years, the planet has left. Some other species might be able to evolve to the point where it can ruin everything all over again. But for now, we're just talking hypothetics. So,
on that point,
go ahead.
Your conjecture about what the eventual revitalization of the planet is going to be ignores the point of whether or not what Trump's actions do will lead to the destruction of the planet as we know it, be that by nuclear cataclysm or by eventual environmental decay. So whether or not that's how history eventually unfolds, which based on the highly speculative nature it can't, could you not still concede that what leads us to that situation is Trump's destruction of the planet and all the actors' elements associated with it?
I point out the planet as we know it isn't, as far as we know it, doesn't really matter to the planet. This is the environment at large, which will eventually recover because that's how nature works. Unless literally every life form on this planet is evaporated, something will grow back. Now, I'm not saying I hunger for the well-deserved eradication of mankind, far from it. From a human point of view, climate change will be a disaster. If left unchecked, it will destroy us all like the floods of Christian myth. But if it does happen, it won't just be Donald Trump's fault. Whether it is stopping it or waving it in with an oblivious smile, climate change can only be dealt with by group action. Nuclear disarmament can only be dealt with by group action. Communities vowing to recycle more and fly less. Companies and nations transferring to renewable energy sources. Governments agreeing together to set aside weapons that can only destroy us all. Now, am I saying that Donald Trump is not detrimental to this process? Of course not. He's a disgusting waste of skin, and that's just what I can call him when I'm not allowed to swear. But to put all the blame upon his shoulders diminishes our own collective responsibility, and that is worse than doing nothing at all. Are there any questions?
It's a good idea if you can exchange your speech with and so on. Because then we know the clap!
So I encourage you to write up the
There are questions at the end.
Any questions?
Yeah, why not?
Very confused.
So as far as I know, the opposition is going to focus all in the environmental change, which is something that we already talked about, and it's something that we agreed of, but you're denying all the propositions that we're doing, and all the propositions that we're saying, and that it's the cause of Trump will destroy the planet.
Yes.
I'm
not purely, I mentioned in fact in my closing remarks that this includes nuclear disarmament. It will have to be a collective effort. One guy just saying, I'm going to put away all the nukes, doesn't actually, it will not matter if everyone else doesn't go, we'll also put away all the nukes. So no, I'm not focusing on the climate change.
You technically still have the floor for another minute and 10 seconds, but you
I can see your pardon? Yes. Finished? Sorry, I don't quite know how to phrase this.
Yeah.
Yes, no, yes, I'm not very confident that. Sorry, that is my fault for not properly informing a maiden speaker of the exact rules, but as I just mentioned, he wasn't a maiden speaker, so another round of applause! Very good speech indeed. Can I just say before you begin your speech, Miss Bellabess, Mr. Dobbin, can you please attempt to open that window? Because I have nothing over here. Now, to continue the case with the proposition, Miss Rachel Bellabess.
Hello, honored members of the Literific Society and honored guests. This debate, I'm on the proposition side of whether or not Trump will destroy the planet, and I do believe that Trump will destroy the planet. And here are my reasons why. So recently, Trump has, so I'm using the US to explain what my argument is going to be about. That's really distracting. It is.
Yeah, Ben, just...
Yeah.
Sorry, it's really quite warm here. Did you get it, Ben?
It doesn't really.
That's fine to say.
This is why you wear like t-shirts underneath your sweaters, guys.
What is this sweater? Yeah, what's a sweater?
Oh, a jumper. You guys call them jumpers. We call them sweaters. Sorry.
Can we get on with the debate, please?
Yes, apologies, Miss Bellabess. I shall now resume the time. Please give her. Would you like to start again?
Yeah.
Okay. You only went for about 15 seconds. That's fair.
Okay. Hello, honored members of the Literific Society and honored guests. I'm going to be arguing today that I do believe that Trump will destroy the planet, and I'm using the U.S. as a case study as to show why Trump will destroy the planet and what he's already done in the U.S. So, Trump has dismantled, or he is starting to dismantle, the Clean Power Act, which is the act that is supposed to reduce all of our carbon emissions.
He has already signed the papers for the Key XL pipeline, which will be the biggest oil pipeline on the North American continent, because the Republicans have this attitude, even though we're going to die because of rising CO2 emissions, they have this saying called drill, baby, drill. Yeah, people still say that, even though, obviously renewable energy is the future. A really great example of Trump destroying the planet is the destruction of Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands. It is absolutely apocalyptic conditions. There's a lot of shortages of
On that point, madam.
Of food and water. Can I finish this point, please? There's very little food and water. The water is getting people sick. A lot of houses are destroyed. People die due to lack of medical supplies and are still dying due to lack of medical supplies. The death toll in both these places was heavily underreported. Yes, I can take your point.
My issue with that point is that the reason the situation is bad there is because of a hurricane, not Trump. Are we now blaming Trump for hurricanes?
Yes.
Point forward, I think you might be using Trump with Poseidon.
Yeah. So the thing is I'm not saying that he was responsible for the hurricane, but it seems like when the environment is destroyed, it stays destroyed. Puerto Rico, especially, was already in pretty bad conditions. Not that bad, but already a lot of their infrastructure was really weakened because with previous U.S. administrations, they hadn't bolstered it, and then it just really got worse. And I'll take your point at the end.
I think you may.
Oh, I said I'd take your point at the end. Thank you. So, yesterday, Trump sent anti-Muslim videos from the leader of Britain First and had his secretary call it national security. This makes minority groups more vulnerable. Already, hate crimes against Muslims, Sikhs, and other religious minorities are up by at least 150%. I'll get all your points at the end, okay? The way that undocumented people are treated, who are some of the most vulnerable people in U.S. society, are really bad. Many times women are sexually assaulted in prison cells, and they're not allowed to get abortions and access critical reproductive care. And parents are being taken away from their children, which under UN rules is considered a form of genocide. Despite all these horrible things going on, there's been truly a failure of the left to truly mobilize, especially around environmental issues. There were about 500 women at the Women's March in DC, but only about 100,000 for the March for the Planet, showing that there's not this key mobile organization, even though we saw huge mobilization of environmental and indigenous activists at events like Standing Rock and the Key XL pipeline. This momentum has not truly gained in the society. Environmental issues are reported badly in the media. They're very underreported. Another thing too is that science, especially science around the environment and climate change, is very underfunded, and the funding is being threatened by the tax plan because the tax plan will threaten much of the grad students who study environmental science. If the tax plan passes, many grad students won't be able to attend grad school anymore because it will be too expensive. So my point is that already we're at 2 degrees C of warming, and I do believe that that truly catastrophic change can be avoided, but we see that already that in order for that to happen, the roots of that are not being invested in the society as much as they should. And so I do believe, unfortunately, that Trump will destroy the planet. I don't mean destroy the planet as in like the planet will be completely destroyed, because we have seen this kind of warming before with the dinosaurs and things like that, but I do believe that it will become extremely inhospitable for human life and that many, many people will die. So now we'll take your questions. Yes?
So, in regards to Trump's policy on racial issues, which I do condemn, how does that relate in any way to destroying the planet in any form?
Well, one of the things, the definitions that Mr. Black sent me is the idea that Trump has caused societal rift, and he has indeed caused a lot of societal rift in the U.S., and I do believe that the societal rift is spreading to other countries as well, because I think because the U.S. is such a big country, I think when they see what their leaders do, I think it really does affect how people treat minorities in other countries. Yes?
Well, in terms of the 2016 Republican primary election,
Yes.
Donald Trump was the most liberal candidate on that stage. I remember in one debate he actually praised the good work that Planned Parenthood do for women's health. In terms of the Liberal Party, that is unthinkable. What he is the culmination of at least 20 or 30 years worth of political developments within that party. And so if the planet is being destroyed due to developments in that country, it is the entire country that is to blame, not just Trump. He is just a figurehead behind a very wide movement.
I do believe that Trump is the biggest. I do believe that Trump is not the problem. I do believe that he's a symptom of the U.S.'s problems. At the same time, one more minute. But at the same time, I don't think that Trump is the only person to blame. I think there's a lot of people to blame. I think the biggest blamers for where the U.S. is where it is the Republican Party and the millionaires and billionaires. However, I believe that Trump is almost like you know how like when you play dominoes and like you get that domino that like push. I think Trump is like the domino that like push.
I thought it was Reagan.
That actually could be Reagan. You could argue that, but I feel like, yeah, that's a different debate. Does anybody else have any more questions?
Can't really accept them. Like 20 seconds if you want to.
I'll try and get yours real quick, Shay.
No, but you're not allowed to take questions. You're in protected time.
Oh.
Yeah.
Can I just take it? Come on.
No.
What?
That was literally the room.
In any event, that's time. Thank you, Belabas. And now to continue the case for the opposition, it's Miss Kara Campbell.
I'm just getting my timer because I'm not a savage. Sorry, you cannot just stand there and look at me, you know.
Hurry up. You heard that, Hugh? You can stand.
It's 7 minutes, right? Yeah, it hasn't changed, okay. Right. Good evening, ladies, gentlemen, and those who don't subscribe to such a binary notion of gender. I'm here tonight to talk to you about why Donald Trump is not going to destroy the planet. If an unfortunate event happens that I faint during this speech, assume it was God striking me down for heresy, and that Trump is in fact going to destroy the planet, and the proposition are completely right. We've already gone over what destroying the planet really means, but the set definition, as set by Calvin Black in the group chat, both of them, is that it talks about climate change, the potential nuclear winter as a result of nukes being fired, and so the causing of societal strife and discord. And these three things are what we're going to talk about. You're not in time yet, Scott. Honestly. Trump is not going to destroy the planet. Why? Because the fate of the planet is out of his control. It isn't in the control of anyone in this room either, or any individual person across the world. It's not a superhero movie where the fate of the world rests in one person, or if you're talking about Marvel's Infinity War, like over 35 people, but at that point. Trump is not the cause of these problems, nor is he the end of these problems either. Trump is a symptom of societal strife, a symptom of part of what is destroying our world. So my argument today is 2 points. 1, the reasons why the planet is damned existed long before Trump did. And 2, these problems and us are both going to outlive Trump. I mean, everyone in this room is probably going to outlive Trump. Isn't that a glorious reason to stay alive for another 30 years? Do you have a point?
Yeah, take it. Okay. When you're talking that Trump is not the only actor that can affect the end of the world, that's something that we agree as a proposition. But the thing is just like we think that it's the indirect power that he has in all over the world and the foreign affairs and the relationships that he has with other countries that will lead this up to the end. Because now in Europe we have also a right-wing movement and a lot of stuff.
It's okay, but I'm going to explain why you were damned before like Trump was even like old enough to grow a beard or some stuff. First of all, climate change. No, I'm not a scientist nor a historian, but neither am I a young earth creationist. And that is what you would have to be to deny that climate change is and has been happening. Human-caused climate change has been happening since the 1830s and was caused by the Industrial Revolution. Now, unless Trump hasn't been telling us something, he was born in 1946, not the 1830s. But no individual person is responsible for climate change. No executive authority can command the seas to rise and the ice caps to melt. And unfortunately, it was too late to stop climate change long before Trump took us out of the Climate Paris Agreement, and it was too late before he started dismantling the Clean Power Act. The most dangerous warming of the world has happened in the last 35 years. 16 of the 17 hottest years on records have occurred since 2001. Think about that. We're in 2017. 16 years. Oh my god. Even if Hillary had won, she couldn't have stopped that. According to science, whatever that is, the Earth is locked in to get hotter by 2 degrees Celsius overall by 2100. Trump won't be around for us to blame for causing that. We probably won't be around either. And we may well be glad for that. What's your point?
My point is that no one is suggesting that he is the only person responsible for the destruction of the Earth. Of course, people have been doing it before him, and the Industrial Revolution is something brought on by politics. If he is going to bring new jobs to America and not using fossil fuels, what's going to happen? Businesses will be created that don't use renewable energy, and the problem will be exacerbated, and that is exactly what this motion is implying.
But the thing is that it was already going to happen before Trump got into power. We were already damned. I'm trying to avoid swearing, but it's very difficult. I would recommend Naomi Klein's books if you want to know more about climate change and how damned we are, by the way. Second of all, nuclear winter, and I am running out of time. Cuban Missile Crisis ring any bells? The proposition... I was going to assume you were going to talk about how Trump has handled North Korea, and oh yes, you did talk about that, I'm just damn sorry. The frightening reality that Donald Trump has access to nuclear codes is very frightening, but Trump was not the one to create nuclear missiles.
Oh no.
And honestly, we live through an era where there's far less likelihood of nuclear missiles being fired than during the Cuban Missile Crisis.
Oh, that's one?
No. Did anyone read yesterday's news and seriously fear for their lives? If Trump fires them, they'll come as a surprise. The retaliation Trump took against North Korea was economic sanctions, not nukes. And if North Korea fires them, Trump will be the cause, but it won't have been his direct order to fire them. And I don't want to sound like I'm defending Trump, but I do think it's unfair to blame the destruction of the world on one man, okay? Like, I wouldn't want to be in his position. And there's a lot of people who invented and built nuclear weapons, and a lot of people who are involved in stopping them from being used. Third of all, societal strife and discord. And yeah, okay, Trump moved the Overton window way to the right. Because of him and his Twitter account, people feel like they're free to say things that used to be simply unacceptable to say. But Trump didn't create racism or nationalism or sexism. Trump did not create the art of arguing. I'm not a smart person, and I don't have any proof to say that humanity has always had strife and discord. But we were arguing before Trump came along, and we will probably argue amongst ourselves long after he has died. Yes, there's a difference between arguing and, say, a deeply divided society, but I do think that even if Trump had never existed, someone else would have stirred up conflict in 2016 America. I was going to use Katie Hopkins as an example, but she's not American. In conclusion, I think the sum of my argument is that nothing we do as individuals matters. There's not a single thing I myself can do to change the world, for better or for worse. Trump only has a level of power he does because other people give him that power. Even the President of the United States does not have the power to cool the seas, destroy all nuclear weapons, and stop strife. We cannot have the power to do everything, and that is a gift. Thank you.
And now to conclude for the proposition, it's our wonderful social officer, Mr. Colin O'Neill.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good evening, gentlemen, ladies, comrades of the House. I'll start with the usual cowardly disclaimer that people use when they get roped into doing a debate at the last minute, and subsequently realise that their speech is probably going to be incoherent at best. Luckily, I get to close the argument, and so by this point your brains are probably switched off and you're dreaming of a creamy pint in the bar later on. However, I will continue if I may. There's been interesting points raised throughout. I'm personally going to stick more to the grand whole scheme of like climate change and nuclear fallout and things like that, because I think as much as like policies individually in certain countries may add weight to the debate, I think like this debate is about the grand picture, and so that's why I'm going to stay. I think the opposition actually has a hard job here tonight, because for them to win this motion they must assert the fact that Trump will not harm the planet, which is a much harder task than ours, and one in which I don't see and one in which I don't see how they can succeed. We have given you concrete evidence on the accords and things like that of how we believe he will and is destroying the planet, and we beseech you to see reason in that. With regard to my own speakers, with regard to the motion, I think we've been quite liberal with the term destroy, because as the first speaker, Tom, said, if we really mean it, you'd have to completely end the whole existence of the matter of Earth, which is impossible, and so we think we have to be liberal with the term destroy. And we certainly will, but we also must put parameters in. So we believe destroy to be destroy things in the world. I bring up a perfect example of the opposition have basically said, he's just one person, so it's not just him doing that. But I think the motion doesn't state that. The motion just says that he is part of the problem. Just like Hitler didn't kill every Jew, there was many people involved in the conspiracy, cover-up and extermination of an ethnic race. And so that's what we mean by it. We don't just mean Trump alone. Us here tonight using electricity is probably destroying the world. So we are quite liberal with regard to that. Just a point of clarity quickly. The Paris Accord, it's below 2 degrees, but they actually signed up to 1.5. That's what they're aiming towards, so maybe just a bit of clarity on that. There was talk about being locked into 2 degrees of warming. Again, no, that's why we have the Paris Agreement, so as we're not locked into these numbers. That's it. Go on.
Like, scientists have literally come out and said we're going to be locked into 2 degrees anyway, despite the Paris Agreement did suggest for 1.5.
I completely disagree with that. So, for example, if we cut off all emissions right now,
it's science.
If we cut off, I thought you said earlier you didn't know what science is, but okay. I thought, but yes, we're not locked into 2 degrees. If we literally ended all emissions now, we're not locked into 2 degrees. And if we're not locked in, well then we're literally locked into like 8 degrees. And that point, no thank you. So that's basically rebuttal on that one. Thank you. Right. So on to Trump. Trump's tweeted 115 times sceptically about climate change and basically his opposition to it, and that he doesn't think it exists. This man is the leader of the free world and one of the biggest emitters in the world with regard to consumption and emissions of toxins. This is the person who's going to be leading this country for the next 4 years, and although you can't actually get out of the Paris Agreement until 2020, the day after the next election, so technically you can't really get the US out of it, but he can of course just not abide by it and basically do nothing for 4 years, and we believe that that is why he's going to destroy the planet and the legacy. Yes, please, Mr. Brown.
Can you confidently establish enough of a causal link between the actions of Donald Trump and how it leads to further emissions and those of all the other global emitters of gases within the world enough that we can attribute the consequences of that to Donald Trump himself rather than that of the international community and their varying intense reasons?
Thank you. Yeah, so again, I think that's fair. Everyone's an emitter. I'm an emitter. You're, even by breathing here today, unfortunately, I'm an emitter. And so there is a number of reasons. But if you're talking about the most powerful man in the world, then yeah, I think it is okay to put palpable blame on this person. 4 minutes, right? Okay. So yes, Keir spoke of destroying it as a whole concept, and we reject this. Because people who, for example, people who have suffered depression will say that the depression destroyed their lives. So that's what we mean by destroy. Did it kill their fibre of their being? No, but destruction can come in many shapes and forms.
Point.
No, thank you. Okay, so yes, nice Trump quote. It's freezing and snowing in New York. We need global warming. Okay, so to finish, and it'll probably be the only finish I get this side of Christmas, this House believes that not only will Trump and his cohort destroy the planet, but that he's destroying it now. With every breath of air that is exhaled from his lungs, a pointless waste of oxygen, if you ask me. Noam Chomsky, in a recent interview, said that the Republican Party is the most dangerous organisation on the planet. In that, quote, not only is the Republican Party not doing anything to address climate change, but it is actually trying to accelerate the race to the precipice of the destruction of our world. There can be no doubt in his words the connotations involved with a party and a man who seemed armed and ready to take us into an environmental Armageddon. On a side, yeah, please.
Donald Trump only joined the Republican Party when he stood. Donald Trump only really became a member of, in any capacity of the Republican Party when he stood to be elected their nomination for president. You know, is this not? You know, this is more a case of the Republican Party destroying the environment than anything Donald Trump's going to do.
And who's the leader? Should we not hold a leader to blame?
I mean, he's
I mean,
I understand what you're saying. I equally say that the Republican Party is destroying the planet. But if you're leading an organisation who, again, is actively involved in this, I mean, I think the blame lies there. On a side note to this debate, that's kind of the end of that. I think we all need to look at our own consumption levels in our own lives. We are all guilty of destroying the planet. Please, I beseech you, if nothing else you take from this debate, take away aspirations and ideas as to what you can do to improve the world we live in. Stick on an extra jumper. Turn off the lights before you go to bed. Ask for paperless receipts. Bring your plastics to a recycling plant. Plant trees. Carpool. Spend less time in the shower. Eat less red meat. Have sex with your partner to warm up the bedroom instead. Be creative. Be adventurous and be daring in the pursuit of a healthy, happy world. We only have one. What legacy do you wish our generation to leave for our kids? Thank you.
Inspired words. And now to conclude for the opposition and indeed the debate, somehow unbelievably a maiden speaker, Mr. Russell Nairn.
Ladies and gentlemen, I am free. Free from the shackles of my thespian servitude. Return to the Literific's hallowed halls and deliver this, my maiden speech. So, let's get it started by pointing out that Trump is a bollock. Undoubtedly dangerous. However, the notion that he will lead to the destruction of the planet, regardless of your definition of destroy, is a tad hyperbolic. My reasoning for this belief can be summarized in 3 points. Firstly, whilst Trump as an individual is a fascinating piece of what I can only hope is performance art, he has nowhere near absolute control of the country, and is indeed, for the most part, manipulated by his advisors into doing what they want. As a result of this, those advisors will ensure that Trump doesn't destroy the planet so that they will still have a tiny morsel of power that they can grasp in realpolitik over. Secondly, even with the terrifying ineptitude that is associated with the time of Trump, that time will come to an end and will likely work out better in the long run now that people have seen the consequences of rampant populism. Finally, the idea of Trump destroying the planet is a prime example of Americocentrism, in which Americans think that because their country is buggered, everyone else is too. I intend to point out... Let's go ahead.
Would you not accept that America has a very strong influence in the world and their conduct is likely to lead other countries to...
Oh yes, definitively so. However, I believe that overall the world will be fine and only America's buggered, as I'll expand on later. They are not likely to lead to the mass death, destruction, and/or nuclear holocaust that the proposition seems intent on putting before you. Very few people with actual influence take Trump seriously. World leaders regularly mock him, and his knowledge of diplomacy comes from a mixture of Apprentice reruns and Fox News. On Inma's point, it's not that Trump doesn't need government, the government doesn't need Trump. He is unqualified to fill the position he's in, and everyone around him knows that, which is why they keep him placated. Every now and again allow him to spout off something on Twitter to distract from the fact that they're the ones really pulling the strings. Indeed,
when Trump's advisors want him to talk about something, it's a common practice for them to phone up a friend at Fox News and have the issue put on the show so that he will see it when he's watching the news in the evening. How does this relate back to the motion? Well, you see, Trump's advisors are gremlins. Not only are they gremlins, they are the worst kind of gremlins, cowardly gremlins. Their primary concern is ensuring that they maintain their own power. Given that notion, is it not the case that Trump's puppeteers will act in every possible way to ensure that Trump does not destroy the planet, because if he does, they have nothing to rule over anymore? The decisions they make may be bad for the people of the country, but they will make sure that there still is a country which they can rule over until, no thank you, until their deaths, when their children take over and become the new gremlins. Therefore, Trump cannot destroy the planet, as he intends to keep his power with his gremlins. Next up, I know the internet has killed all of our attention spans, but 4 years is not a very long time. Yes, Trump sucks, but we just have to wait it out until 2020 and they can get rid of him. Unless, of course, the Democrats decide to run another bad candidate, in which case we're stuck. However, even then it's only 8 years of Trump. And I mean, look at him, he's 70-something. That is prime dying age. We've all got to buckle down for a bit and weather Hurricane Trump. And in much the same way that the Nile must flood so that the flowers may grow, we must deal with this tide of populism so that people realise why it's a bad idea. On Aisha's point regarding Trump's bad policies, over the course of his time as president, Trump may be able to push through a few harmful laws that will end up being bad for the planet. However, in the absence of a nuclear holocaust destroying everything, the planet does not get destroyed overnight.
On that point, sir.
No, thank you. When Trump inevitably leaves office, it will be quite simple for a successor to take out the rubbish that is pretty much everything he's ever done, and replace it with policies that benefit the planet.
On that point?
Go ahead.
What if his successor is Kanye West?
Then, in that case, I would like you to shoot me, Mr. Doctor. Finally,
James.
Trump's raging incompetence may lead to the death of America as a global power. However, despite what many Americans may think, America is not actually the entire planet. Short of all-out nuclear annihilation, the rest of us will be pretty fine. Which leads to me addressing the point of nuclear annihilation. I reject the idea that a world-scale nuclear war will occur under Trump. The doctrine of mutually assured destruction has ensured that world leaders know exactly what it means if they push that big red button. It means the end. People know this fact so well that I would suggest that were it the case that Trump one morning forgets his medication and decides to call a nuclear strike against some dastardly country such as, I don't know, Iceland, it's very likely that his officers, military generals, and other associated individuals would mutiny against the order and refuse to carry it out. Therefore, if we reject the notion that Trump will start a nuclear war, we're left only with his incompetence and gremlin-run government policies, which admittedly will be very damaging for America, but will ultimately leave the rest of the planet pretty untouched. So, a message. So,
It's Trump.
yes, you heard what I was saying. So, approaching conclusion, I believe that Trump will not destroy the planet, as he has very little actual influence over the running of the country he's supposed to be in charge of. He'll be either voted out or dead within the next 2 years, so we can all go about fixing the mistakes, and his idiocy will be at most lead to the downfall of America, thank God, but not the entire planet. I only got home at 7 a.m. last night. I am working off of 3 hours of sleep, and I feel like I'm about to die. Thank you very much.
Please give another round of applause for his maiden speech. So, we started a bit later than usual this evening, so we have finished the speeches a bit later. So, hopefully, we have patience for at least 2 rounds of questions. But again, I shall try and read the room as best I can. So, can we please have a question for the proposition to begin with? So that's this side here. Any questions for the prop? No one has any questions for the prop?
Can it all offer a question?
I suppose if no one else is going to offer a question, then yes, Mr. McGuinness, if you'd like to go ahead.
So you were mentioning his failures in dealing with the hurricanes hit Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands. Do you not see that's more a case of dealing with the symptoms of planetary destruction and dealing with than being a cause of this planetary destruction? It's a failure in dealing with it, not a failure in posting, surely.
Thank you, sir. Let's respond.
I mean, the thing is like, as I said, like, there was already, like, the root causes that were there, but, like, Trump was, like, the domino that, like, makes it fall. And the thing is that, you know, what was I gonna say? So he's the thing that makes it fall. And the thing is that, domino makes it fall, and the thing is that we see is that, you know, a leader is judged by the way that they respond to situations, right? So, if Puerto Rico is a representation of the planet, and Trump says, oh, well, there's this island that's been destroyed, and their infrastructure's down, and he doesn't rebuild it, well, then it stays destroyed. And that's kind of like my point, but,
briefly respond to this.
I think that's all
Perhaps
I
even
have left to say.
Thanks, Melissa. So now we come to the problem of allowing one side to ask another question.
Okay.
And I can't really allow you to respond. That's not really quite fair. So I'll have to move on and ask, are there any questions for the opposition now? Okay, a good few. I'll take Mr. Rogers first.
Given that at the end of the Second World War, America dropped 2 atomic bombs on both Hiroshima and Nagasaki for one reason, just to see how it would work. Does it not seem characteristic of Trump that he might one day R-style the nuclear codes or accidentally tweet them?
Who from the op would like to respond? Mr. Nairn.
Perhaps. But I feel, were I personally one of Trump's advisors, were I the man responsible for handing him said codes, I would just give him a series of numbers and he wouldn't actually know. Besides that, the order has to actually be carried out by individuals, and that is the case where we see it. If somebody gets the R-style nuclear code, it's quite likely that they will mutiny against the order, or just go, oh, Trump's doing it again. I mean, we don't know. To be fair, we do not know how many nuclear strikes Trump has ordered that just didn't happen.
Interesting point there. Who from the prop would like to respond? I mean, you don't get permission from me. Mr. O'Neill?
I think he will watch them. Yeah,
In fact, he probably has.
Yeah, I think a point that actually hasn't really been raised here is that I'm sure the planet actually can't wait for a nuclear fallout. Because, I mean, a big plague or something is actually probably the way to go about getting population down and emissions down. So if we're not going to go green, we should probably just wipe each other out and let the planet do itself.
Wow, this is dark. That's the whole thing. Are there any questions now abstaining on the motion? Mr. McKenna?
Yes. Both sides of the House tonight have based some of their arguments on a positive interpretation of the Paris Accords. And I would like to know how either of them think that this most damning fudge in human history can be considered anything other than the destruction of the planet. To quote the great Michael Collins, all signatories of that treaty have signed all of our death wishes.
Thank you very much, Mr. McKenna. Who from the prop would like to respond? I'll ask you to respond first. Ms. Portas.
Okay, can you repeat the question again, please? Like, I understand that, but like more summary.
Yes, sorry. Yes. Both sides of the House, you have expressed that the Paris Accords is a good thing for the environment.
The Paris Agreement?
The Paris Agreement, yes. Yes, but I think it's clearly not, considering it's non-binding, etc.
Well, okay. It could be, but the thing that we like to just make a big picture of is that the United States is a country which has a lot of power in the world, which we could talk about already in a lot of our speaking order. So it's not about the importance of the treat. I think it's more about the image that you have in the international community. Yeah. Yeah, that is my opinion. Yeah.
No. I must ask for the you're finished for the officers.
The thing is, I'm not going to enter in a debate whether the Paris Agreement is good or not. Like I'm, for being honest, I'm not like too into the the Paris Agreement to just talk about it. I know you will kick my ass, but but I think it's just if the United States of America is not agreeing with climate change, like it's going off of the map, then who, like, which are the biggest country that want to follow? You know what I mean? Okay. What? Okay, stop.
Let's scare candle.
I have strong opinions on the Paris Climate Agreement, and they're not good, because the Paris Climate Agreement is, as you said, it is all about image. There is no substance to it. And part of my argument was that the planet was damned long before Trump took us out of the Paris Agreement. And you know what? Even if we had stayed in it, it wouldn't have changed anything, because there's nothing in that agreement that binds you to do anything. And also, it shouldn't be countries signing up to those agreements, it should be corporations, because they're the ones that do the most damage to the environment. And they're the ones who are getting led off of everything. The planet is screwed when it comes to climate, and we should all just kind of accept that, live our lives, and die.
Oh my god, this is so...
I don't know, like I said, dark. Okay then, are there
Point
any...
of order, Mr. President, an actual point.
An actual point of order, okay.
Perhaps it would be pertinent to explain what a point of order is, to actually give the definition so that everyone knows. Yeah.
It would be, however, given this lit hour, I would have to go by what is simply on the order paper, and I feel that whilst it is sufficient for fitting on a small order paper, after the clear lack of understanding from the House tonight about what one is, a more detailed explanation would be in order. So I shall make it the first announcement, or one of the first announcements next week, and we shall once and for all hear what a point of order is. So yes, any questions now for the proposition? Odds are you probably won't get a chance to ask one for the up or an abstaining, so maybe try and reword your point to make it work with this.
I know.
Anyone from the audience, come on, here, yes, Mr. Dalvin.
Hold on. Yeah. Okay, so there's been a lot of said today about how pretty much our deaths and the death of the planet is entirely inevitable.
Yeah.
Not something I'm going to entirely dispute, but for the proposition, the more grandiose conjecture that comes up about whether or not destruction will come about via nuclear holocaust and destruction, or whether or not Trump himself is a natural disaster. So would it not be fair to say that saying on such grand terms that he'll destroy the planet, that comes down merely to being speculation, on account of the fact that the planet could at any moment be destroyed by a freak solar flare or any other cosmic accident that's about as likely as Trump having a nuclear war at this point?
Thank you, Mr. Dalvin. Who from the proposition would like to take that? Again, confer, you don't get permission from me, you make sure that... Okay, let's tell us.
I agree, you know, like there are a lot of things, you know, that could come and destroy the planet, but I do think that we really do have to consider Trump's role in how, you know, we're really on the precipice of whether or not where the planet's going to go, and he's really not making these good decisions. Did that answer your question?
Yeah.
And I just want to say one last thing, because I remember what I was going to say to your thing. So, after World War II, the U.S. created this legislation called the Marshall Plan, which funded a lot of money into Europe to rebuild Europe. So the thing is that the U.S. has not only rebuilt the U.S., but it's also rebuilt parts of the world. And the thing is that what I'm saying is that the way that Trump has treated Puerto Rico, if Trump does use nuclear weapons and destroys part of the world will not only get destroyed, but it will stay destroyed because he won't do anything about it.
Thank you, Mr. Galabas. And who from the opposition would like to respond? Mr. McGuinness.
So, on your first point, that's not a case of him destroying the world. That is again a case of him failing to fix the world being destroyed. In either way. Secondly, I just this is just generally as far as Trump being Trump is not the instigator. Trump is merely the figurehead of everything that's wrong in the world, essentially. He is. You were mentioning how he's leading the Republican Party, but he isn't. Donald Trump is the president that has been nominated by the Republican Party, but he has no official or indeed any real authority over the Republican Party whatsoever. Mitch McConnell and Paul Ryan are infinitely more to blame for the current state of affairs in the Republican Party and in America. Donald Trump wouldn't be able to pass any laws without their approval or indeed do anything. So I think that's just the point I wanted to make.
Thank you, Mr. Dennis. No, sorry, I'll have to move on. Also, I'd just like to welcome long-time friend of the House and member, Mr. Jimmy Cargill. I should warn you that even though there are only 2 questions left, you should strap yourself in, because the change in tone has been so dramatic that I think just about everyone here is suffering from a bad case of whiplash. It's been all over the place tonight. So yes, are there any questions now for the opposition? Mr. Patton, how's it go for you?
You've talked a number of times about how the subordinates in the nuclear chain of command will not carry out this order. You've said that a couple of times, yeah. The last drills they did, admittedly during the Obama administration, 70% of the lower level people who actually pushed the button and fires the missile carried out the orders. So if you think they will somehow mutiny against Trump's order, that has been proven wrong.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Nang, to respond?
Yes, the difference is those were carried out, of course, during the Obama administration. No, there is an actual point here. Thank you. Carried out during the Obama administration, where those subordinates may have had a different opinion of the person giving the order. In this situation, I feel that were Trump to hand out a were Trump to pass out this order for a nuclear desolation of a location, I do not feel that many subordinates there would carry it out.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. For the proposition, would anyone like to take that? You don't have to, but Mr. O'Neill?
I agree, and there's a chain of command, and I think we always think that people who are in command are smart and wise, and a lot of times they aren't, which is why Donald Trump is the President of the United States of America. I just want to quickly, I'm basically robbing your point to come back on something that Keir said. I'm going to cheat that way. You said corporations should be regulated and stuff. Countries need to regulate corporations unless you're going to build some sort of grand universal government for the world, which I know you bureaucrats are big on with your federal systems and that. You can't wait to see the death of nationhood. But yeah, so I mean, corporations have to be regulated by countries, and so I just don't understand where your point would be. The Paris Agreement is massive in terms of us dealing with it. Yes, of course it's non-binding, but you'll never be able to make it binding whenever you're working with every country in the world. There's no way around it, so it's the most significant thing we've done so far, and we should be optimistic about that, not pessimistic.
Thank you, Mr. O'Neill. And one final point, abstaining on the motion. Anyone I haven't heard from yet? Anyone? It's not abstaining, but I shall give it to Mr. Dumb.
Me?
Shit. Only because you danced so marvelously last night.
So, what I'd like to ask is, there's a lot been made of, or a lot spoken about tonight, about whether or not that the destruction of the climate is inevitable anyway. But my issue with that is whether or not we're assessing whether or not the planet's eventually going to die, because that's a necessity regardless of human involvement. So I'd like to ask both sides here whether or not they think that Trump making a significant enough contribution that we can prove is attributed to his administration, whether or not that accelerates climate change and the destruction of the planet as a result, that we can then attribute that to him.
Thank you, Mr. Dobbin. I'll ask the opposition to respond first this time, as the proposition responded first last time. Who among you would like to take it? Miss Campbell?
Well, I think I've made my views clear in this, so I didn't really want to respond there. But I absolutely think that the world is already doomed, destroyed, going to be very, very harmed by climate change, no matter what Trump has done. But the way you worded it is very tricky, and this is why, you're a very tricky person, Hugh. Because I do actually agree with your point that if Trump does make enough of an effort to damage climate change and to damage the universe, of course it has to be attributed to him. But it doesn't mean that he's going to destroy the world, because the world is already going to be destroyed.
Thank you, Ms. Campbell. And now, who from the proposition would like to give the last answer this evening? Ms. Worthus, take away.
Actually, I don't think that the plan is as the first speaker of the opposition told about in his speech, in his spread. He said that the planet cannot be destroyed. I mean, the humankind can be destroyed, wildlife can be destroyed, all the kind of like the us, we know it can be destroyed. As destroying the planet itself, it must be something out of this planet to destroy it entirely. But the thing is that, and that's the kind of argument that we were trying to do all around. It was just like small causes can have larger effects. Not destroying the planet entirely, but like kaboom, disappear, okay? No, but when we're talking about climate change, obviously it's something important. It's something that we already have, and it's going to be worse thanks to Donald Trump. And not only Donald Trump, also all the actors that are involved in it. But he's indirectly he's the main cause. And it's not only about climate change, it's also about nuclear weapons and the foreign affairs that he has, like his relationships with China and Russia that are quite contradictory. So it's not something about only the climate change or a small part of the bigger picture. It's all of it. Yeah? We can talk about that later.
And speaking of later, we are almost at the end. Just a few little things to say. Later, we shall be adjourning to the pub as per usual. Woodworkers, as per normal. Mr. O'Neill will have to stay behind to get the photographs. So, Mr. Dobbin, would you mind being the one to lead the way to the pub?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, anyone who by now doesn't know the way to Woodworkers, Mr. Dobbin will be the man to follow. Also, of course, if you want to pay for the Christmas dinner, please. Is John gone?
Yeah.
Well, speak to myself and the secretary. Again, PayPal may indeed be the best way now that I think about it more. And I also neglected to mention at the beginning, this is quite important. There are 2 ordinary meetings left. Next week is this house believes free will does not exist. That's a joint debate with the Philosophy Society. That's pretty much business as usual. However, the week after that, you will have noticed on the turn card it's denoted as Christmas Party. So as I think I might have mentioned once or twice before, the idea for that is that it'll be a much more laid-back, light-hearted affair, mince pies, singing of Christmas carols and such, and instead of the usual single hour-and-a-half long debate, it shall be 3 mini debates which last approximately half an hour each, 1v1, 7 minutes and whatnot. So the motions for those are, they have finally been decided. This house would be dramatic, this house would rather be naughty than nice, and this house, oh, I've forgotten the last one, blast.
You know oh boy.
Shit. This house believes that the Literific is an old boys club. So yes.
Can I do the third one? I want to do the second one.
So yes,
Speakers who already can.
yeah, well, I mean, council members get lower priority. So, but yes, if you're interested in speaking at any of those, remember there is only 1 space per side, so get in there quick. At least a few of them may already be taken. So yes, speaking about that, seriously, if you can't make it to the dinner because of the deadlines and whatnot, that's completely understandable. But try to make it to that last one, because a lot of the people who were here last year said that the similar debate that we had last year was their favourite one of the year, because it was just so much fun. So please do try to make it to that. Otherwise, I don't believe I have anything other to say. Other than that, I wanted to say that there were some sick burns this evening, dare I say, from each side. So yes, good job, fellas and ladies. So yes, if you could please get your membership cards out. This is a vote on speaker ability. This is not what you personally believe, this is which side you believe spoke better. All I know that it is simply how the circuit generally works. Again, unless you're comfortable or certain that I will know you to look at as a member, I will not be counting just hands in the air. So, I know you're a member, Ben, obviously. Woo! So yes.
They can borrow mine.
No, they can't! That's dreadful. That's voter fraud, Miss Bellabass. Shame. So, could all those who would like to vote in favour of the motion, who believe that the proposition spoke better, please raise your hand and say aye. One for the proposition, Mr. Secretary.
Wow. And I vote for myself.
Yes.
Yes.
2 for the proposition.
You need to vote for yourself.
All those who believe. Is that 3 for the proposition? All those who believe that the opposition spoke better, please raise your hand and say nay. Nay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, Mr. Secretary.
Shit.
Oh, 10, Mr. Secretary. 9 words, Mr. Darren, I didn't hear anything. And all those who believe that both sides spoke equally well, equally terribly, or wish to express no opinion on the matter whatsoever, please raise your hand and say it loud, say it proud, say meh! Meh! 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 13, Mr. Secretary?
14.
Let's go with 14. So, Mr. Secretary, could you please read back the vote to me?
Mr. President, that was 3 votes for the proposition, 10 for the opposition, and 14 against.
There we go. I wasn't listening, but whichever side has it, has it! The instructions have it! The time is now 25 past 9, and I hereby declare this meeting adjourned to the pub! Speakers to the front for a photograph! That's fine. Hardly be expected for a first time nevertheless to avoid utter chaos. I must